Okay. So we've seen the introduction and the first verse. Now let's look at the second verse. Now, if you heard the chant, usually in the Vedic chants, when you hear, they go at a high pitch, slightly higher pitch. Oh, they'll start like that. Tachayora vrinimahe gatun yajnaya. So the pitch is usually much higher than usual slokas. Shlokas you say. The usual Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Adapadatan Challu Janla. Om Vishwam Vishnur Abdin. Usually you don't start that way. Usually it is at a normal tone. But Vedic chants are chanted at a higher pitch usually. And that pitch is called Udgita. Udgita and Chulva. And which is why the Vedic chants they are called Udgatris. Those who do Vedic chants, they are called Udgatris. Because the idea of Vedic chants are you are actually generating certain types of sounds and needs to reach as far as possible. Right? It is like the whole idea is to spread that sound, those sounds, those specific sounds that are there in the Vedic chant. Those type of sounds need to spread as far and wide as possible. And that is why usually Vedic chants are done in a goshti, when several people are there, and it is chanted at a higher pitch. Udgita. Okay. So now we saw the first verse. We saw, I think we saw the Shanti mantra also. And then we saw the first verse. Atyatishtat dashangulam. Om Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishtat dashangulam. Purusha evedagum sarvam yad bhutam yad chabhavyam utamrtatvasya shanah yadannena tirohati. So Purusha evedagum sarvam. I remember I have said this also before. There are sounds like gum, evedagum, and there is another place. There is jaya, gischa. So this gischa or gum, these are just Vedic sounds. They don't carry a meaning, really. So you in the Sanskritam dictionary, you will not find this word appearing. Gum, apdingar mari, you will not have a. There is a gam dhatu. Gam dhatu is there, but the word that is used here, that gum, that's not an akshara in Sanskrit. This thing. These are Vedic sounds. And they don't have a meaning particularly. It actually is Purusha evam sarvam. Purusha eva idam sarvam. Purusha evedam. Purusha eva idam sarvam is the word. But the gum just appears there, maybe for chandas or whatever reason, we don't know. But we just continue to chant because it has come through a Shruti Parampara. So you hear it being chanted, you continue to chant it that way. That is all. So that is one of the things about Vedic chants is some sounds that just appear as a certain sound without a meaning. You just continue to chant it that way because it is revealed that way to the Rishi. So Purusha evedagum sarvam. Purusha eva idam sarvam. Same, we've studied a similar verse. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. It's the same verse. Purusha eva idam sarvam. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. The Ishavasya Upanishad starts with Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Anything and everything that is here is Ishavas. Isha's Vasya. Isha means Isha is Avasya, which means Isha is enveloping everything that is here. Or Isha's Vasa. Isha is living here in everything. So in the same way, Purusha idam sarvam. But there is another word that is there in between, eva, only. Purusha only is here. Purusha eva idam sarvam. There is nothing else. Purusha eva idam sarvam. Yad bhutam yad bhavyam. So in the previous verse, this Purusha eva evam sarvam, eva idam sarvam is almost an extension of the previous verse where we said Sahasra Shirsha Purusha, Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. He is all over, everywhere. Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishta Dashangulam. So he is here and there, and then he says he is in your heart, and then he extends to say that he is everywhere. And Yad Bhutam, Yatcha Bhavyam, which means anything and everything that is there in the Bhutam, in the Bhutakala, and then everything that is in the Bhavishya Kala. So idam, here in the present tense it is Purusha. Purusha eva idam sarvam in the present tense. In the Vartamana Kala. Yad bhutam, that which happened, and yatcha bhavyam, that which is going to happen, that is also Purusha. Which means here you are not just talking about space, you are also talking about time. Okay, so this is a term that I this is a term that I heard, and you don't see this being used. This term is not used much, which is so the term that we are familiar with is everywhere. We say everywhere, but the term you don't see being used much is every when. So everywhere is the context of space, that this is present everywhere. Every when is the context of time. So when you say he was present in the past, in the present, in the future, he is every when. Now this every when is, see, certain times what happens is our mind is just tuned to, now 5 times if I tell, oh Bhagavan is everywhere, Bhagavan is there, oh Bhagavan is everywhere, oh Bhagavan is everywhere, oh Bhagavan is everywhere, Bhagavan is there. So just by saying it a few times, the mind just accepts it as a statement. To process it and to actually experience it, the mind does not have the capacity for that. The mind doesn't have the capacity to process this as a truth within you. Right? I just say that, oh, Bhagavan is everywhere. Oh, okay, Bhagavan is everywhere. Then we think of Prahalada. He says, and then he came from Narsimha, came from here. And then, yeah, Bhagavan is everywhere. So, these ideas and concepts are always an idea and a concept or a story for somewhere else. It needs to become a living reality for us. And if that processing the mind doesn't do, then the mind goes into just accepting it. Let's say, oh, okay, Bhagavan is everywhere. Bhagavan is everywhere. He is always there. Bhagavan is there. Krishna is there, or Purusha is there. It is there. But what is it that is always there is something that we ought to process it within ourselves. We have to think later when we go sit, when you're sitting and looking at something, or you're sitting by yourself, doing some contemplation, some meditation, you should think, Yat bhutam yatcha bhavyam, sarvam idam ishavasyam, or purusham eva idam sarvam, yat bhutam yatcha bhavyam. So he is here right now. He was there in the past and he will be in the future. So what does it mean for me to process this information? And we think the way it should be processed is we should think that these are not just words that somebody is saying and I just accept it. The person who has said it has had this experience, right? He's had a profound experience that suddenly he's finding himself, this presence, all over and at all times. So it is almost like a haunting presence that this individual is experiencing. So it's like, this Bhagavan is everywhere. Wherever I go, he's there. And he was there 10 minutes ago. He was there 2 years ago. He was there 25 years ago. He was there for 50, 60 years ago. And he is going to be there for the next whatever years I live. He's going to be there. And he's there right now, right here watching. Then when we process it this way, it becomes a very profound, slowly it starts becoming a little profound for us. Otherwise, these are just terms. And then what happens is when you say, okay, he was there even before, which means he was there when I was going through suffering. He was there when I was happy. He was there when I was a small child. He was there when I was growing up. He was there when I got married. He was there when I had difficulties in my life. He was there. But of course, we may think, I was going through so much of difficulties. Where was he? Right? I don't. So this is something you need to process, right? Because we look at this information as an information on the sideline. I say, oh, okay, Bhagavan is always there. But then you actually process it. Do you really believe he was there with you? Do you really believe that Bhagavan was there in all the events of your life? Whether you knew it or not, he was there. Do you really, really believe it in your heart? So then the way you see the past becomes very different. See, very, very small things can become extremely powerful methods of meditation for us. Extremely powerful tools to open up our perception. So when you really sit and think, yes, Bhagavan was there throughout my life. I am this age now. And when I look back, he was in everything that happened to me in my life. He was there as a witness. There are moments when I experienced his grace. There are moments when I did not experience his grace. There are moments when I tuned in with him and I felt his presence. There are moments when I did not tune with him and hence I did not feel his presence. But when I look back, he was always there. Now what I learn is that when I think back, then if he was there throughout, then should I carry any grudges or anger or hatred or some kind of animosity towards anybody in my life? Bhagavan was there, no? A lot of people carry this grudge for many, many years. They say that he did this to me. He did that to me. Because of that person, something happened. Because of these events, something happened. Today, I am like this because of this, that, and the other. If we truly believe this term, Yad Bhutam, Purusha, Yad Bhutam is Purusha. What happened is Purusha or Bhagavan. Then no point in blaming somebody else or some situation, right? It is the same Bhagavan that was there. The same Bhagavan that I'm praying to now, who I hope is going to give me a better life from now onwards. The same Bhagavan who was there. Now, why is this suddenly this Bhagavan is going to give me a better life if you think he gave you a bad life? அதே கடவுள் தானே எதுக்கு why do you think he is going to give you a better life now? If you think that you had a bad life. So it's clearly not that Bhagavan is giving you a better life or a bad life. You are running on this hope. So it's almost like telling Bhagavan, சரி உங்களுக்கு ஒரு சான்ஸ் கொடுத்து பார்க்கறேன். பூதகாலையாவது இப்படி பண்ணிட்டு இல்லைங்க பவிஷ்ய காலத்தை நல்லா பண்ணுங்க அப்படின்னு. I'll give you another chance. I'll give you another chance. So clearly that the way you process your past, the way you process your future, because it's in the mind. Anyways, it's in the mind, right? Anyways, it's in the mind only. The past is definitely not here right now. The people who you think did harm to you are having a jolly good life now. You are the one carrying that burden and that worry within you right now. So clearly the past is not here right now. The future, you don't know. What you carry about the future is only aspiration and worry. These are only two things you carry about the future. ஐயோ இப்படி நடக்கணுமே, ஐயோ இப்படி நடந்துடக்கூடாது. These are the only two things. நடக்கணுமே is an aspiration, நடந்துடக்கூடாதுன்னு ஒரு பயம். There is a worry or a fear that you carry. Right now it's not there. So all the futures that you thought about in the past, again, this is another way of processing. All the futures that you thought about in the past, 15 years ago, you thought about a future. You know, in 10 years, I will be like this. Are you like that today? You may be better. I don't disagree. But there are so many factors that go into what make you today. Not just your aspiration 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Not just that aspiration. The effort that you put, the environmental conditions, the grace of God, the grace of your elders, the support of your people, all of that. So many things make you what you're today. So you're saying, okay, 10 years ago, you know, I thought about, I made this sankalpa. Today, through God's grace, I got this. Beautiful. But you then have learned in the process that what you had to do in 10 years, not just to have the aspiration, but work towards it over the 10 years to get here. Like my guru's guru says, grace is directly proportional to the effort that you put. Grace is directly proportional to the effort. So if you put sufficient effort and then you wait for grace to give you the outcome, whatever is the outcome. So from the past, when I turn back and I look at my past, we should never carry a regret about the past. We should only carry learnings from the past, never a regret. The moment you carry regret about the past, which means you're defying your own point, saying that yes, that was Bhagavan there in the past. And remember, every day there is a past. You're creating a past every day. Today, yesterday has become a past. How do you process that past? Yesterday's past today is your doing. What actually happened is secondary. So what you process of it today is most important, because that is what you're carrying in the mind. So the regret, there shouldn't be a regret. There should only be learnings of the past. And then again, the learning shouldn't be turned towards it shouldn't become as though it shouldn't. Again, this is a statement that I always repeat, and I like this term. Life's experiences, we should turn them into wisdom, not into wound. So the past should not turn into a wound. It should turn into a learning or a wisdom, which means, okay, now I've understood how to move forward. I've become better. Experiences should turn into wisdom, not into a wound. Because what you get are only experiences. Bhagavan doesn't, okay, when we should give him a bad experience or a good experience. It doesn't sit there doing that. We got only experiences. What we turn of that is always our choice. So, yad bhutam yaccha bhavyam. Yeah, whatever is in the past and whatever is in the future and whatever is idam, purusham, eva, idam, sarvam. All the 3 points of time is Bhagavan, is Purusha. And he is here right now also. He is here right now also. But right now, what do we experience? We experience several things. See, like how we experience regret or guilt of the past and aspirations or fear of the future. In the present, we don't know what we feel. When somebody asks us, you say, "Ipa eppadi pa irukka?" Appadina, "Edho irukken." You'll hear this term very, very, very regularly. ஏதோ போயிட்டு இருக்கு, ஏதோ இருக்கேன். அது என்ன ஏதோ போயிட்டு இருக்கு, ஏதோ டைரியா வந்தது. ஏதோ போயிட்டு இருக்கேன், ஏதோ இருக்கேன் is because which means your things are not in your control. Either things are not in your control or you don't know what is happening with your life. So then what will happen? Then it will turn into some kind of regret or some kind of dejection about I should have done this, I should have, either guilt. So of course, it's not about how you respond to somebody, it's about how you feel within yourself. We should never feel that yedo point irukku. No, I know what I'm where I am. I'm conscious about what I'm doing, not with pride, but with a sense of understanding. If somebody asks, how are you? Maybe we should take a moment to think. Really. If somebody asks, how are you? We should actually take a moment to think. Because that person is helping you go within and process your situation right now. Because we don't always know where we are within us. We go through many different emotions at a given point in time. Different states of mind we go through at a given point in time. So if somebody is asking, how are you? They're saying, okay, give me a moment. Of course, he is not asking seriously. Are you serious at the turbo? சும்மா ஏதோ அவர் இவனு கேட்டேன். இவர் சீரியஸா எடுத்துன்னு பதில் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காரு அப்படின்னு யோசிப்பான். But important is, these are triggers to, maybe you can just tell him whatever you respond to, but take that moment and think that, okay, how am I actually right now? What is happening within? Paying that attention. And you pay that attention to see that, oh, okay, maybe right now I'm feeling exhausted. Right now I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling a little. And it's also nice to just look at that for a moment and then temper yourself to the right, to the median point, right? Sometimes you're either excited or you're exhausted. It's good to come to a median point and say that, oh, okay, this is where I am. Now, this is idam. Purusha eva idam sarvam. Now here, right now, that Purusha is there. So when we say Purusha eva idam sarvam, he, by being right here, right now, we experience that presence. We experience that presence right here, right now. So we say, And when I said, when we go back into that for a moment, we just bring our attention. There's a term that I love a lot. CNV is there. Nochur Swami, he always says, கவனிக்கணும் அப்படிம்பாரு. கவனம் செலுத்துங்கோ, which means bring your attention back. That is all it takes. Right? Another classic example is when your hand or your leg or some part of your body is shaking without you knowing, and somebody points out, hey, kaal atada appadina, what you do, you don't take your hand and hold your leg. You don't have to do that. You have to bring attention that, oh, my leg is shaking. The leg will stop shaking. Same thing with the mind. The mind is just shaking and going like that. You bring your attention. Oh, what is happening? You'll suddenly see the mind. Oh, moment you bring attention, it'll quickly just silence. When we practice these things, we will know the beauty of these methods of contemplation, meditation, paying attention. There's one thing I like about Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. He says, for many years as a child, all he used to do was just pay attention. This is what they teach in Vipassana also. In the Buddhist following of Vipassana, they teach you to just pay attention. When you pay attention, two things happen. One, the mind suddenly stops chattering, and suddenly a small window of perception opens up. Some clarity appears, some window of perception opens up. Paying attention doesn't solve your problem. So we have to understand these things. They don't solve your problem, but they enable you to deal with the problem. And that is what is important for us, because what is a problem is a definition by me that this is a problem, this is a not problem, this is an okay thing, this is not okay, is a definition I give depending on the comfort and discomfort it causes to me. That which is a problem to me may not be a problem to somebody. So you look at dyslexic children, you ask them to write a C, they will always write it in the reverse direction and they'll find it so hard. But you and I can write C in the right direction. A, B, C, D, they will find it so difficult. What is a problem to somebody is not necessarily a problem to me. So my definition of problem, we have to look at it. What is my definition? And then we see that when I pay attention, it's not that the problem vanishes away. The mind chattering stops. When the mind chattering stops, then the window of perception opens up. In that window of perception, there is some clarity. Some clarity appears. And then your ability to deal with the issue or problem is much better. If you're excited and all, you're in a state of anxiety, then your ability to perform is much lower. Vandi sooda irundhuduna, you usually what they do, when a car is very hot, it is run at a high RPM. When it's very hot, you have to cool it down. You have to cool it down, bring it to a certain temperature, and then you start it again for efficient performance. The more the vehicle or the device or the yantra heats up, the more energy it consumes, because it's dissipating a lot of heat, so it has to consume a lot of energy. That is why when we are exhausted, anxious, you will become exhausted soon, because you're dissipating a lot of energy. A lot of people, you notice, when they're really depressed and very anxious, they will eat a lot. Why do they eat a lot? Because they're actually dissipating a lot of energy in the form of anxiousness. And hence they need to fuel themselves. The less you dissipate, the less you will, the need to consume also. Right? So, yad bhutam yaccha bhavyam, purusham eva idam sarvam yad bhutam yaccha bhavyam. So, this Purusha is everywhere and everywhen. Utamrtatvaseshanah yadannenati rohati. Uta amrtatvasya eshanah. He is the Lord of immortality. Uta, moreover, amrtatvasya ishanah. This, he is the Isha of amrtatva. Amrtatvasya ishanah. Which means he is the Lord of immortality, means he is imperishable. Because he is everywhere and everywhen, there is no place that he is not, and there is no time where he is not, and there will be no time in the future also when he was not, he will not be. So that is what it means by amrtatvam. Amrtatvam means amrtatva. Mritatva means mrityu tattva. The concept or the idea of mrityu, death. He is a mrityu tattva. He is the concept of no death, deathlessness. Why is it deathlessness? Because it is not a thing. Anything needs to go through the process of birth, sustenance, death. When it is not a thing, it is not a thing, it is consciousness itself. There is no death for it. Why? Existence itself is in its presence. Satchit Ananda. Consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss. Existence is in this consciousness. Existence is rising in this consciousness. So which means if something's got to exist, it will be in the consciousness. So if existence has an expiry date, it will be in consciousness. So consciousness doesn't have an expiry date because existence is coming out of consciousness. So uta amrtatvasya ishanah. This Isha is amrta, and yat annena atirohati. So yat annena, that by food, atirohati, he grows. He grows through food. Yat annena atirohati. Atirohati is to grow rapidly. And he grows through food. Annena. That which grows through food rapidly. That is the Isha. What it means is the important point to note here is it is something, this entity, that Isha or Purusha, is always growing, always expanding. And this is a concept we hear in physics, astrophysics also. According to astrophysics, this universe is constantly expanding. Those who have read that, say the universe started as a big bang at some point 14 billion years ago. Since then, the universe has been expanding. Even now, it is expanding. It is just that for the span of time we are on Earth, we don't experience that expanse, or the process of expanding is expanding very, 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 very slowly. But it is nevertheless expanding, which means it is growing. It is constantly growing. And how is it going? Through annena atirohati. Annena, anna means annamaya kosha. Everything in this universe is Annamaya Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is matter. Those are familiar with these 5 koshas, Pancha Kosha, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. So there are 5 layers of our personality. There are 5 layers of our personality, and Annamaya Kosha is this material world. So Annamaya, the next level is Pranamaya. So even the subtlest matter that we cannot perceive, that is existing as matter, is part of the Annamaya Kosha. Even if you find a quark under the electron microscope, smallest particle, which is a quark, that is part of the Annamaya Kosha, because it's matter. The next is Pranamaya Kosha, which is energy. See, immediately after Annamaya Kosha is the Pranamaya, the most subtler layer is the Pranamaya Kosha. So you don't experience Pranamaya Kosha elsewhere. You experience Pranamaya Kosha in yourself. So everywhere else, what you're perceiving is Annamaya Kosha, as long as you're experiencing it as matter. When it is energy, it is Pranamaya Kosha. Then again, Manomaya Kosha is a furthermore subtler realm within us. It's not on the outside. So Annena Atirohati. Through this Annamaya Kosha, or through this Anna universe, the universe that is being created through Anna, through matter, he continues to expand. He continues to expand means what? This Purusha is not a static principle. This Purusha is not a static principle. This is very, very important to understand. Probably take a minute more and we'll close it. Many years ago, I heard a talk by Osho Rajneesh, and in which he talks about perfection. And he says, God is not perfect. God is ever evolving. Because if God is perfect, then he is dead. That is a very profound statement. See, if you think God is a place to be, no, what I mean to say is God, okay, so God is something that you, like if you think, okay, there is Vaikuntha and God is sitting in Vaikuntha, it is a place, I go to Vaikuntha and that's it. It is a nice thought. But then also think, many people have asked me this question, say, okay, after realization, what next? Tell them self-realization is the most important thing. You have to spend all your energies, your sadhana, to realize yourself. That is the most important thing. Say, okay, சரி realize பண்ணிட்டேன், அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன அப்படிம்பா. It is not like that, right? It is not a thing to obtain, after which you wonder what to do with it. Why? Because it is an ever-evolving experience. Those who are realized are not saying, okay, now I am realized, pa. They don't go sit in a corner, right? They are acting in the world. They are doing what they need to do. Whatever needs to be done to the body, the people around them, whatever needs to be done, they continue to do it. We call it prarabdha. All of that is different. But in the individual's consciousness, there is movement still there, right? Although they experience stillness within, there is movement that's still there. What happens after they drop the body and all, we don't know. But a Jivan Mukta, Adi Shankara, for example, take Adi Shankara's example. Adi Shankara walked around India several times. He was realized, and yet he was in movement. He was still, yet he was in movement. You take Dakshinamurti on the other side, he didn't move anywhere. He was sitting in one place. But people came, no? Ramana Maharshi sat in one place. They may know Kandrandhara. யாராவது விட்டாளா? அவர் சுத்தி ஒரு ஆசிரமத்தை கட்டி அவர் இது பண்ணி அதை பண்ணி அவரை போட்டோல மாட்டி இது பண்ணி ஊரு பட்டது. So the whole paraphernalia gets created around him. Is this a movement he created? His presence created that movement. Yes or no? அது people say, எதுக்கு உங்களை இங்க உட்கார சொன்னா? போக வேண்டியதானே, மலையில போய் எங்க உட்கார வேண்டியதானே. யாருக்கு தெரிய போறது? Since you're here, we will make all this out of you. So movement is always there. Some form of movement is there. So we need to understand movement means expansion. As expansion. So when you say God is perfect, God is this, that's it. It's never like that. Even a Ramana Maharshi who seems to be so stoic, just in that stillness and calm, you will see him turning in emotions. Suddenly he'll see Arunachala, he'll have tears. There is movement, right? This expression, there is movement, there is emotion. All of these are happening. He doesn't associate himself with it. But still these are happening. And these will continue to happen. So we need to understand God is not this fixed thing. So like in the wall, you put a fixed photograph of God that I have to achieve, reach that. No, it's not. It's like reaching Mount Kailash. It is not like that. It is an ever-evolving process within us. So one important thing I'll tell you to feel good is that understand that every day, whatever sadhana we do, we are evolving slowly. We are also slowly evolving in the process of realizing the self. We are moving closer to it. And you will not come to a day saying that it is done in that sense. You will continue to be in it. And that's the joy of it. Because if it's done, then you're dead. The only place it will be done is when you are in the grave. Till then, it is evolving. Like Krishna says, the difference between me and you, Arjuna, is that I know this and you don't know this. That is the only difference. The moment you know this, you are me. Knowing is the only thing there. Right? So then you're in that process to know that, yes, day by day, this is there. This evolution is constant. It is not just I am evolving. This whole creation is evolving. This whole principle is evolving. The whole thing is yadanne nati rohati. The whole Purusha is also evolving and expanding and growing. And so am I. And there is no fixed expiry date for this. But you resolve into the truth. What stops for you as movement is what next? I'll close with this. The only thing that stops for you as a movement is the question of what next. The difference between a realized person and a person who's not is the question of what next is dropped. A realized person will never ask what next. Because he knows it's a stupid question. Something will keep happening. Right? You are on top of the wave now. Something will keep happening. The wave will come, rise, fall, rise, fall, rise, fall. You're on the top of the wave. It doesn't matter whatever is next. This is the place where you are. Whatever is next doesn't matter. For us from here, when we see, oh, I become wise, I become enlightened, so what next? No, when you are there, that question will not arise. That is all. You will realize that there is movement, there is expansion, there is evolution, all that will keep happening. But the question, what next, will not be your question. Whatever is next is okay. So this movement will constantly be there. Yat annena ati rohati. Okay. So that is the second verse. Purusha evedagum sarvam yad bhutan yaccha bhavyam utamrtatvaseshanah yadannenati rohati. Om Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami sadashivayeti samarpayami jagadambikaye iti samarpayami sadgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Gurudeva.